My setup is feeling better than ever, and I've been recently wanting to show off some of the changes that I've made. Starting off though with something that hasn't changed, and that's my desk. It's a 60 by 30 wood countertop, and then I have two Ikea legs and an Alex drawer. I know it's basic, but it works, and it's held up extremely well. I'm going on 3 years with this desk, and it looks pretty much brand new. As for what's in the drawers, I have pretty much all of my tools, stuff for keyboards, my screwdrivers, cables, which are now neatly set up with my 3D printed organizers. Speaking of which, my 3D printer. I wanted to get a 3D printer for years, and I finally got one. I got the Bamboo Labs A1 with the AMS light, and it's honestly been one of the coolest things that I own. I've printed things from my organization stuff, my keyboard stands, cable management, and some stuff you'll see later. I'm also looking into getting a filament dryer since it's pretty humid where I live, and I want to print with PETG, which needs to be dried. I did get it on Black Friday at Micro Center for $330 from what I remember, and that was the combo, which is normally $400, so it was a pretty good deal in my opinion. I've been loving it. The Bamboo software is really easy to use, and the mobile app is a nice to have. I'm sure there are probably other options out there, but I am really happy that I went with the A1. Moving on to lighting, I do have one new addition here, and it's this floor lamp. I got it from Amazon, but I put a Govee light bulb, so all of the lights in my room are now app controlled. I still have the other floor lamp from Govee to the left, and I do have the nano leaf panels, but I honestly don't use them that much anymore. As for my peripherals, I still have my Mode desk pad. It suited me very well, but I would want to try something maybe lighter in the future. My mouse is still the Logitech G Pro X Superlight. Not the most interesting mouse in 2026, but I'm really not that good enough at games anymore to where having a better mouse than this would really make that much of a difference. My only problem with it is that it doesn't have USB-C, but it's still a very capable mouse for my needs. My audio gear has changed somewhat. Still using the Shure MV7 Plus. I know I said I was going to switch over to XLR in my last setup tour, but I've just been putting it off, but soon it will be done. It's on a basic Fifine arm. It's okay, but it's cheap, so I can't complain. A somewhat unfortunate change though is my IEMs. I previously had the Linsel KZ ZS10 Pros, and I had them for 2 years until the right side just started getting quieter, and it was also more sensitive to bass. I ended up having to try 3 different IEMs until I landed on the ones that I have now, the Limsol SimGod EW300s. The EW300s still sound extremely good for $80, and it would beat any other gaming headset in this price range that you could buy. But my favorite part of my peripherals is my keyboards. Yes, with an S. So for my first one is my Neo 65. It's in silver, and I don't have any keycaps on it right now, but it's on an alu plate with HMX Sonia switches with no foam. Also, my Neo 75 CU with burgundy and brass, alu plate with HMX Shanghai switches, and a Wingtree black linear for the spacebar. For the keycaps, I have GMK DMG, and it's also with no foam. And for my newest board, I have the Neo 60 CU in gray and in brass. I don't know if it's recency bias, but this is easily my favorite board that I have. I love how it looks, I love how it sounds, and I love how it feels. For the build, it's using alu plate again with Cherry MX2A's black. They're spring swapped, and they are also filmed with GMK Shoshin. Here is a sound test of them all. I have a lot of decorations, as you can tell. On my desk, I have some One Piece stuff and my Lego bonsai, also a 3D printed tray. It's not really a decoration, but I also have my main controller. It's just a basic PS5 controller, nothing special. To the left, I have a 36-inch shelf with 2 Ikea pegboards underneath. On the shelf, I have some more One Piece stuff, my Luffy and Zoro figurines, Law and Kaido's Devil Fruit, and my favorite Lego. I have the Going Merry, which is so cool that this came out. I bought it instantly. On the pegboards, though, I have all of my keyboards on some 3D printed stands, some more Legos, and all of my Switch containers. My monitors, though, have not changed from the last setup tour. Still have one horizontal and one vertical monitor layout. It's been the best for me, and it's the most comfortable. As for the monitors themselves, I still have my OLED. It's a 27-inch 1440p 240Hz OLED, and I am almost at 2 years of using an OLED as my main monitor. I do still play games often, but I mainly do productivity stuff at this point. Softwares like Premiere, Photoshop, After Effects, and Blender that all do have static UI, which is bad for OLED. If you look up any reviews, at least older reviews, they're going to say this should be a gaming or entertainment type of display, but it still held up pretty well. I still don't see any visible burn-in. You can maybe kind of see a tiny bit at the top, which would be from Premiere, since at the top of Premiere has this stupid white border. If you do want a more in-depth video for burn-in, you should check out Monitors Unboxed series. They are doing a 3-month check-in for burn-in where he is deliberately burning in his OLED, so they do a lot better job explaining it, so go watch that video. For my second monitor, it's still the 27-inch 1440p 170Hz IPS display. It's good enough for what it is, which is basically just Discord, File Explorer, or other stuff for productivity work. And I honestly don't really see myself upgrading my monitors, though I don't think I could ever go back to a non-OLED monitor for at least my main display. Monitors seem to be the only thing coming down in price, unlike everything else. It would be really nice to move up to 4K, maybe even one of those dual OLEDs or tandem OLEDs, which seem to be amazing, but that is far into the future. My newest addition, though, is what you're watching this on. I don't really know how I'm going to show you this, but it is my iPhone 17 Pro. I'm coming from the base iPhone 12, so the jump is absolutely insane. I got it in a silver colorway, which is so much better than the blue and especially the orange. It's just so much cleaner, especially in this case from Kadabe, I think that's how you say it, I don't know. I needed a new phone and I wanted a professional camera. I get access to features like Apple Log and ProRes RAW, and if it's good enough for movies, it's good enough for me to use for my own stuff. The last and most important thing is my PC. And if you've seen my other setup tours, it's looking a little different right now. Before, I had everything in the Lee 011 Dynamic, a good but absolutely massive ATX case. Now I am built in the Ncase M2, a 15.6 liter case that is insanely high quality. Of course, I get the silver because silver is always the best. The machining and anodizing is amazing. It's not a cheap case, but for starting at $165, it is insane for that price. You can do 3 different orientations using the crazy customizability you get. I ended up with a vertical build. Why? Well, look at it. The vertical build is the worst config for cooling compared to the other two. Since the GPU air is exhausting everything straight up into the CPU, at least it's the worst for CPU temps. But temps for me are managed well enough. In Cyberpunk, my GPU never really goes above like 60, 65 degrees, and my CPU is around that 70 to 80 degrees mark. As for the actual specs, obviously the case is the Ncase M2. I went with the round version in silver. The motherboard is the Asus ROG Strix B650 EI. I wanted to go for one of the B850 boards, but I got it for way too good of a deal to pass up. It also has a lot more rear USB ports than the other, at least B650, and honestly most of the B850 boards, and they are a lot faster. The power supply is the Corsair SF750 Platinum. Not much to say about it. Seems really good. I like that it came with sleeve cables, and I've loved Corsair power supplies, and I also got a good deal on it as well for around 150 bucks. My CPU has stayed the same as before. It's the Ryzen 7 7700X. Temps are higher than before, but still very manageable. And if I do go to something from like the 9000 series, temps will be a lot better. RAM is also the same. I wanted to go up to a 64 gigabyte kit, but we all know what happened. It's a 32 gigabyte 6000 megahertz kit from Corsair. For storage, I do have one new drive though. I had to buy a new drive since this board has one less M.2 slot. My boot drive is still the same, the Crucial T500 2 terabyte, and the secondary drive is the Crucial P B310 2TB. For the cooling, I have a Corsair iQ Link H115i 280mm AIO. Everything is fine except for one thing, and that's that you do not have manual control over the pump speeds. In this, you get 3 modes in the iQ software. You get quiet, balanced, and extreme, and to me, quiet is not that quiet. So if I were you, I would honestly look for another option, because the pump at quiet is still the loudest thing at idle. I do have one extra fan. It's the A12X25 Chromax from Noctua with a 3D printed 5mm fan spacer to help with turbulence. It's set to exhaust, so the hot air from the GPU is directed straight out of the bottom. And the most important thing, the GPU. It's still my 4070 Ti Super. It's the Asus TUF model, and it's been great. Still a very capable 1440p and 4K GPU, and I can play every game I want still. And it's honestly incredible how all of this fits in a case that is this small. And I probably will never have a PC much bigger than this unless I am running some crazy multi-GPU setup, which probably will never happen. But that is it. This is the end of my setup tour for 2026, and I've had a really fun time making this video. It's been a blast using this new camera, and since I don't really get to record stuff, it's been a breath of fresh air. But with that said, I do hope you guys have enjoyed this, and as always, peace.